it's finally over. Today we're going to be looking at all of my diesel locomotives. Last episode we looked at all of my steam locomotives, and now today we're going to look at the diesels. We're going to have to do it on this bottom level because, well, the top is pretty much full of stuff. So let's get right into this. This locomotive right here is an Athearn Blue Box Canadian Pacific AC 4400. I recently got this at my local train store for I think $30. It's pretty stock Athearn engine of the time. Runs decently. It's pretty loud, but it runs. So this right here is an Athearn Blue Box SW1000. I think SW1500. It runs pretty noisy like the last one and most Athearns. Has no handrails, but otherwise it runs decently and does the job as an SW15. So I decided to include both of these locomotives at a time because they're paired together. I took an old Tyco drawbar and put it in between these locomotives, however it didn't ever really work, so that's about best as I got. The Sioux line has the engine, the CP does not have an engine. I don't even know if the Sioux line works anymore. We'll see. Well, it does. That's surprising. Not very good, but it works. This locomotive right here is one of the few locomotives that I have no idea if it runs properly. Think it turns over, but it doesn't run very good. I don't know why it doesn't, but we'll figure it out here. So let's see if it'll turn over. Well, it's going. Like I said, not very good, but it sort of runs. Oh, this is an Athearn Blue Box U33G. Or not U33G. U33C. But it seems to run decently. Got it at the same train store as most of the engines in the collection, which is Hobbies Recycling in Wyoming, Michigan. It's beautiful store. There's a lot of selection. So let's go on to the next one. Starting off with the very first AHM locomotive is this. This is a usual SW1 from AHM. Nothing too special about it. I have another one like this. It's a Santa Fe, but that thing is in worse shape than this one. I believe this one runs. However, it spins out pretty bad. I don't think it's off. This just had no traction tire. This one I actually bought at a train show, like, I don't know how long ago. Maybe like 2016-ish? I don't know. This was probably one of my very first engines for my very first layout, which was basically a dining table with some Bachmann track on it. So, it does run, as you can tell. This locomotive right here is a Baltimore and Ohio F16 or H16-44 Trainmaster. Got this Elkhart, Indiana. And this one runs, and it's Bachmann Spectrum, so it looks decent and runs, so let's head it out. This locomotive here is a Spirited 76 engine by Bachmann, and as you can see, it doesn't run. Well, it turns over, but barely. Yeah. This engine I bought at a train show, the same train show I buy most of my trains from. It's a Bachmann from, I think, maybe 80s, 90s. but it ran, but now it don't. So I'll have to figure that out. Hopefully before the 4th of July or Memorial Day. So, yeah. This locomotive right here is a Bachmann 1980s era pancake drive. This is a BQ23-7. It runs pretty good, actually, compared to what most engines do. It runs slow and clanky, but it runs. So, I bought this at a train show. This locomotive right here isn't something too special to my collection. I got this from one of my videos that I posted of unboxing 2 starter sets in the day. The other one was the Durango and Silverton. This one was the engine in the, I believe, the Thunderhawk set. I'm not sure exactly. But this is a standardized Bachmann GP40 with some goofy paint scheme. It runs. Here we have a 2 Bachmann Spectrum 44 tonners. Great Northern runs with 1 engine. This one used to run with 2. So, yeah. Guess we'll see whichever one goes. I guess both of them go. I think this one's probably going to start smoking again. Yep, there it is. So there's our very first blooper of the video. Yeah, there's some funny stuff. Woo! Bachmann smell. That is. I don't know why, but Bachmann always has some smell of burn. Probably because they burn up all the time. But yeah, these things ran. Keyword ran. Now they don't, so that's nice. Decided to do kind of this 2-for-1 deal here. Both of these are Bachmann F7s. And they both came from Menards starter sets. So, yeah. This locomotive right here is a Bachmann GP35, I believe, from the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad, or chassis system, as this paint scheme suggests. This locomotive does run, and I bought it from the same train store, like I said, 95% of my engines come from. This locomotive right here came in one of my very first starter sets. This locomotive runs basically perfectly still. It came in the CSX Coastliner, whatever set, came with the 2 intermodal cars. Let me try to put that back on. And the single caboose, CSX caboose. Hold on. Alright, so right here is this Canadian National GP40. Basically identical to the other 2 I've showed. This one runs perfectly fine, like any Bachmann GP40. So, this right here is a Reading Bachmann Spectrum SD45. Pretty basic Bachmann SD45. Except the whole fact that this is a Spectrum. There's not much anything special about it. I think it runs, yep, actually pretty good compared to some of the other ones. I believe this was one of the very first ones I've ever bought from a train show. But yeah, as you can see, it runs pretty good, so on to the next one. Kind of filming this out of order, but this is an Etherm Blue Box SD40 T-2. I'm 95% sure somebody went and bought some scale trains parts and put it on here. Because I don't think Etherm Blue Boxes had a plow or that nice of handrails in this time period. So, yeah, I don't really know what happened to this thing. Runs noisy. Also, I bought this at a train store, so. Again, filming this out of order. Here we have an Atlas Canadian National RS3, I think. This thing runs beautifully since it's an Atlas, and I'm not going to be too worried about this thing in the future. I bought this at a train show, I believe, for like $20, and it runs great. Alright, now we're out of Bachmann. Now we are on to IHC. So this locomotive right here is an IHC SD24. I bought this maybe like 3 months ago at the train store. It runs like an IHC. It's actually very quiet and very fast. But let's see if it'll turn over. There we go. Oh. There we go. This right here, I believe, is one of my fastest engines. Or engine duos, I guess. This one right here is a powered one. And that is the dummy back there. Now, this is an IHC E8 set. So, basically, this one has front light. That also has a front light. And it's directional. So, when that one turns off, that one turns on. That one turns off. On. The other one turns off. So, this thing runs good. And like I said, it's one of my fastest engines. I'll try to run it at full speed, but we'll see. That's about as far as I'm going to run it. This locomotive right here is another Bachmann. I just realized I forgot this one. C40-8 from the Union Pacific. This is Bachmann Spectrum. It runs pretty good. It's a Bachmann Spectrum, so it runs decent. On to the very first and only proto engine of my entire collection. I got this thing from the train store, and it runs. I just gotta put it on the track. And it, like I said, it's a proto. It's basically an Athearn blue box, but in a proto shell, so it runs decent. These right here are Stuart Cotto, F units, F3s, I believe. Now these things run beautifully. These things basically have the drive of a Cotto engine, so it runs great. And yeah, here it goes. Also forgot to mention that the lead engine has a Mars light too. This locomotive right here probably holds the most sentimental value of my entire collection. This is the very first locomotive I've ever gotten, and it still runs to this day. So, I actually started out pretty early in the hobby when I was like 3. So, it runs really good for an old Tyco. I should have said Tyco before, but it runs good for what it is, so. Now we are on our very final DC locomotive. This is a BNSF Walters GP7U, I believe. Let's see if it's... Yeah, GP7U. This thing runs like a Walters, and it has copper wheels, I believe. Kind of hard to tell on camera. This is actually up next, or maybe 2 or 3 after, to be converted into DCC, so we'll figure it out when it gets time. So let's drive it away. Here's our very first DCC engine. This is my very custom-made J-Train line number 83. This is a Athearn Blue Box GP9, I believe. And I think it turned out great. I might try to redo that lettering, but overall it's a great runner and it works. So this right here is a heavily customized Athearn Yellow Box -9. This thing has DCC decoder and metal, or not, swapped out the metal handrails for plastic ones, and some of them have broken in a few spots. That side's not as bad as the engineer's side or conductor, whatever side this is. But it runs great. I also proclaim this as probably one of the quietest Athearn Yellow Box -9s you'll ever hear. Also, it has directional lights to some extent, so. This locomotive right here, I'm probably going to have to upgrade at one point. A lot of the wires inside of it are too big, and it actually is bowing the shell out, and that's why you see a whole bunch of overbleed for the light, and that's why it's all over the ground there. And it's even worse at the back because it pretty much lights up the entire radiator. Overall, this is a Bachmann Spectrum C40-8W. So, and it does run very, very poorly though. Very quiet, but it runs very slow. Like, I'm at 126 right now on my DCC controller, and that's how fast it's going. This thing pulls really good, but it doesn't run very fast. So that's probably why I'm going to use it for helpers instead of, well, doing whatever it's doing now. This locomotive right here is a Bachmann GP40-2R, I believe. This thing comes in a starter set. I didn't buy the starter set. I bought this locomotive separately. This is what works the yard down here, which I'm going to call the Ryerson yard, because I'm not really modeling anything too specific. I'm just trying to model BNSF operations, but whatever. This engine runs good. Also has directional headlights that work properly. You can see they turn on, reverse, forward, reverse, forward. Work perfectly. So let's get a move on and drive her away. This thing has awesome slow speed control too. This is the only DCC engine I've officially bought from the train store with DCC. This one is kind of weird. It has directional lights, however the front one's burnt out, and it has these weird like plastic chunks on the front. But overall, it runs decent, so that's all that really matters. I jinxed myself. There we go. This locomotive right here came in a DCC starter set from Bachmann. This is yet another Bachmann GP40. It runs great. It runs on DCC. It came factory installed with DCC, as mentioned earlier. I have to fix that real quick. There we go. Runs good. I don't know what this is going to be really used for, but yeah. Next thing here is this Walters train line, I believe, Amtrak P32-8 BWH. This thing's not too special. It's the Pepsi can paint scheme. It also, like most engines in the category, has DCC, and it runs good, so it's good. I almost forgot about this thing. Now, this is actually my very favorite diesel locomotive, and was actually the very first engine I've ever gotten with DCC. Still runs today. This is a Bachmann. It's getting old. Probably gonna need an upgrade, but it runs. Sometimes you should. To get a little nudge, but should run. There we go. Probably stalling the points because that's what Bachmans do. That's really weird. I don't know why it's not running, but hello. There we go. This locomotive right here is a Bachmann SD70 Ace. I have the sound muted right now because this thing is absolutely loud. This has front ditch lights that waggle when the horn is blown. And overall, it's a decent model. This is, I believe, my second DCC sound ever. So let's turn on the sound and let it run down. This is probably one of few Bachmann DCC sound locomotives that actually have a startup and shutdown sequence. This thing I got for my birthday not too long ago. Whoops. But it runs. I'm mainly using it for local service. Probably when I get the layout able to be used as local service. But now it's pulling short road trains. But like I said, it has a startup sequence, so let's hear that. This thing isn't as loud as the SD70, so I'm able to run this while I talk. This is a Bachmann ES44AC in the Conrail paint scheme. You can see a video of this in real life pop up in the top right corner. This is probably, I think this is my very first DCC sound locomotive, and it was cool. I got to see it in real life. Overall, it's pretty much a stock Bachmann engine. So. This locomotive right here is probably one of my most high-end locomotives here. This is a Intermountain Tier 4. This one has decent sounds. I was able to swap the horn with the ESU thing, what they include with the box and locomotive. This is probably my second most high-end locomotive on the entire roster. So yeah, let's get this thing moving and start it up. This locomotive right here is a Scale-Train's AC 4400. I want to say right now, this was probably one of the models that I've had a weird history since I've owned it. I've already, when I bought this, it had everything except this side grab rail there. And then eventually, I don't know when, but as we were building the Helix, I noticed that all 4 bottom steps were gone. So we reached out to Scale-Trains and we were able to get all of the parts that were missing. And we got them for free, so that's really nice of them. As you can see, this is already making noise on the track, so let's start her up and see how it goes. And with that last train, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this colossal video. This has been work for about maybe 2 months. It was pretty challenging trying to remember. If I forgot any locomotives in this video, I will make a part 2 of this where I put in the left out engines. I know I probably missed at least 2 or 3. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.